So the thing is, they lose their attention, gets lost super fast. Now, as I'm going through some of this stuff, some of you are going to go, oh my gosh, that's my kid, and I know they don't smoke weed. We're going to tell you what the break happens, okay? So the thing is, no sense of urgency, very short attention span. The other thing is, they operate at a real high volume level. If you get a family that smokes weed and a kid that smokes weed, and you end up going over to their house, there's a real high volume level that takes place. You get in the house, the radio's on, the dog's barking, kids are crying, there's all this noise inside the house, and the family communicates at a real high level. Anybody in the room have to do home visits where you go into homes like that, where the noise level is super high, right? And after a few minutes, you're like, whoa, man, this is just hard. There's a great movie that's out there that talks not about the marijuana part, but about the silence part. It's called In Pursuit of Silence. And it talks about how much noise we're bombarded with constantly and how it affects our immune system. It's hard for this producer to go find a place where there wasn't any outside noise, with a plane flying over, or a truck driving by, or music that's taking place. So he said it's really difficult to find that now. How many of you have had rough days at work and you go home and you just want everything silent, right? And that's what's happening as your brain is recharging. So these kids are constantly bombarded with noise. The other thing that happens with these kids is they don't know what to do with silence. They don't. If things are quiet for too long, they get really uncomfortable inside themselves. Now I work with all these probation kids, and a couple of weeks ago I was working with probably about 15, 20 probation kids, and there's this one kid named Ben. Great kid, man, I love this kid. He was like the spokesperson for the rest of the group, you know? And so I'm talking about silence and how people that smoke weed on a regular basis have trouble with silence. Well, Ben raises his hand, he goes, Mr. Ray, I don't agree with that. I'm like, you don't, Ben? He goes, no. But the kid, I love him, man, because he asks these great questions all the time. He looks around the room at these 18 kids, he goes, we all smoke weed, right? And they're like, yeah, we do, and they're all proud of it. He goes, we can all be quiet for a long time, right? And they're like, yeah, we can do this. And they're like, so let's prove Mr. Ray wrong. I'm like, all right, man, let's do it. Let's prove Mr. Ray wrong. I looked at Ben and I said, Ben, how long do you think you kids can sit here quietly? I'm going to give you the opportunity to make a decision on time. He looks at the clock, he looks at me, and he goes, Mr. Ray, we got 8 minutes left in class. He says, I bet we can sit here for 8 minutes and not make any noise. I says, really think you can do that for 8 minutes? He's like, yeah, we can. I'm like, all right, Ben, let's do it, right? So I look at all the students, I tell them the same thing I'm going to tell you right now. When I say go, I want everybody to be completely silent. Let's see how long we can go before somebody breaks the silence, okay? I'm not going to actually do that with you, because as adults, you probably can go for a long time. And that would make my presentation awful. And so the thing is, I'm looking at Ben, Ben's looking at me. Some of the kids have their heads down. Some of the kids are looking at me super intently, and they're just into this, right? And so I look at them and go, all right, get ready. I'm watching the clock, As soon as that second hand hits the top of the hour, I say, and go. I'm watching the clock, 40 seconds, about 40 seconds into this 8-minute experiment. This kid over here who has his head down, he goes, beep! Right? Every kid starts laughing. I'm like, dude, you made noise. He goes, yeah, man. He goes, I'm just joking. And everyone's like, yeah, you know, and they thought it was great. I said, all right, 40 seconds. And Ben's like, no, dude, we're just kidding, man. We can go long. Like, all right, Ben, let's do this, right? So I look at the clock again. All right, guys, you ready? And go. Watching the clock. About 45 seconds into this experiment, this kid over here has this coughing fit. He just starts coughing. I'm like, dude, you made noise. He goes, I'm coughing. I'm like, you've been sitting there for 2 hours silent, and all of a sudden you have this coughing fit. He's like, all right, man, I'm just joking. All the kids laugh again. These kids could not go more. After that, they couldn't go more than 30 seconds without one of the kids making some kind of noise. Then the next phase started to happen. I always get this little term wrong. How many of you have heard of the term called hangry? Ever heard of that?
Yeah.
Where you act crazy when you're hungry? And I wish I could show you this one video of this young lady that's like missed her smoking weed time because she just goes ballistic on her mom. But it's like people who eat on a regular basis. If you're used to eating at 8, 11, 2, 4, so whatever time you're used to eating, if you miss one of those, you know how you get angry inside or you miss lunch, same thing as they're starting to realize is happening with kids. These kids inside this group started to get angry or hangry with each other. Ben stood up and he looks at the kids, he's like, "Shut up! We're trying to be quiet! You shut up! Oh yeah!" And it just started going crazy. All the probation officers like, "What do we do? What do we do?" You know. And I'm like, "Hang on, let it go a little bit longer." And then finally, I looked at these kids that could not go more than 30 seconds, and I go, hey, guys, you can do it. I was wrong. They're like, "We told you," right? And so the thing is, they can't go for very long. So what happens is a kid who misses that opportunity when they're used to smoking at lunchtime at 11, and they miss it, there's this thing that builds up inside them, and I'll just call it hangry, and where they get really upset. Now what's taking place inside the brain is missing that, and the brain is used to having this stuff coming in, and when it doesn't get it, it starts to get angry. Crazy report out there. I'm working my way through this, and we're going to write a blog on this real soon, where they're talking about the increase of violence associated with marijuana use. Now back in the day, they used to talk, Cheech and Chong days, dude, we smoke weed and we just kick back and relax, right? It's like the love joy drug. It's not anymore. What they're finding out is kids who miss their regular smoking get really angry inside. One of the things that they're seeing in Colorado, I work with an organization out there, when marijuana first came on, they were seeing a lot of disciplinary problems with kids because the teacher would look out over her classroom and she would say, "Students, I need you to be silent." For a kid that smokes weed, that is super difficult for them inside. How many of you work with kids that are constantly making noise or have to have noise surrounding them? Right? Quite a few of the hands going up. Yeah. The other thing that they find with this kid is they're constantly listening to music, they fall asleep to music, they wake up to music, or they constantly are texting or playing video games because of the stuff that they have to have coming inside their brain. Now here's what's getting dangerous. You have a kid that smokes weed and a kid that doesn't smoke weed, and here's where the break happens. Mom or dad's out there. I'm sure you've had the experience where you're having dinner and you tell your kids, no cell phones at the table, right? Your child gets mad at you or upset, or they come into your office or business or wherever it's at and you tell them no cell phones. And I've seen this happen during presentations where kids are like, and they just get mad. But what happens is a kid will get mad that doesn't smoke weed, and they still feel connected to mom and dad. They still feel like I belong to this house. These are my parents. I'm upset with my parents right now, but they're still my parents. What they're finding out with kids that smoke weed, when you tell them to put their cell phone away, or you identify them in a group, or you call them out in a group, because of how their brain is working, they feel isolated and alone. And they feel like you have just put them in a spot where nobody else is. So the problem is, you now have a kid that feels isolated and alone, who is operating on an emotional level. And one of the things that comes with marijuana use, because of how it works inside the brain, is a thing called paranoia, schizophrenia, or depression. So they're finding out with this high level of THC in wax, that wax goes into the brain and opens up these doors called schizophrenia, paranoia, depression, even has a tendency to open up a door called suicide. Now you have a kid that walks onto a campus, working on an emotional level. He looks over, he sees somebody laughing. Do I think that guy is laughing at something else, or do I think he's laughing at me? Laughing at me, right? Now I have to do something because of how the brain's working. So this report coming out of Europe right now is talking about an escalation of violence related to marijuana. One of the places that they discovered this, the gentleman that did the shooting in Colorado during the Batman movie, remember that? When they did a toxicology report, he had high levels of THC inside the system. The people that did the bombing in Europe, Eiffel Tower, that whole area right there in France, when they tested them after they had killed them, they did a toxicology report and they found high levels of THC inside their system. So somebody's starting to make this connection because of what's taking place inside their system. So for those of you working in the field, understand, when you discipline a kid, you need to let them know that they're still connected to you, that they still belong to you, that you still care about them, because their brain defaults to that. Questions, thoughts? Let me just open it up for questions real quick. I got another 20 minutes. Questions or thoughts? One time. Way in the back. Talk loud.
When a kid stops smoking marijuana or not having a vape, is there a time period when some of this stuff, the characteristics you're describing, do they diminish or does the body regroup or something like that?
Okay, great question. Does it diminish? Does it go back? Some of this information was discovered by Dr. Steve Shiroka at the University of Columbus, Ohio. And they realized that a kid's brain is going to get set this way. And when they discovered this information, they thought, oh my gosh, this information is really tough, man. What do you do with this information? So they started to do research on the brain to see how the brain, this was back in the day, how the brain was going to fix itself. So what they did is they actually joined a group down in Boca Raton, working with senior citizens who had Alzheimer's. And what they found out is that if senior citizens, Alzheimer's patients, would just read, that it would start to strengthen the brain again. It's like any kind of muscle that you use. So they applied it to these kids. And what they found out is if a kid smokes weed for a long period of time, the way that the brain is functioning, it goes in and it messes with how the brain is going to function. But the way to reset the brain is if you can get this kid to read. In the beginning, read very small things and then work his way up to like Grisham novels where there's a lot of characters, a lot of action, a lot of different things working. So to answer your question, yes, the brain will go back if you do something about it, if you have that kid read. But a lot of times, because of how information goes into the brain, a kid will read and the brain hasn't made these categories yet, so it's real difficult for them. But to answer your question, reading is the answer. Other questions real quick, so I want to give you one other big piece of information. All right, what is one of the big reasons why kids smoke weed? What's that big reason? Why do kids smoke weed? How many of you thought peer pressure? Okay, quite a few of you, all right? Peer pressure's in there, that's usually why kids start. I get all kinds of answers, because it's cool, because their friends are doing it, because it's available, because their parents are doing it. One of the big, huge reasons, we'll do this like a Wheel of Fortune. I'll put a letter in the box. Kids smoke weed because they are bored. Who said it? Second place in line for lunch. Good. So congratulations. Give that person a round of applause over there. Good. Boredom. If a kid smokes weed just because they are bored, it is going to offset things all the way down the line. Okay? A couple of months ago, I was in Huntington Beach, California. I'm teaching at a high school that's across the street, literally, from one of the most gorgeous oceans in the world. I look at these kids in Huntington Beach, California. Kids, why do you smoke weed? There's nothing to do in Huntington. All right. Downtown New York City. Kids, why do you smoke weed? There's nothing to do in New York City. All right, again. Mountain Village, Alaska. 2.5 hours from the closest city. Population, about 900 people. They bring me out because they're having a terrible marijuana problem with their kids. And they're growing weed out in Alaska in a cave. That's kind of crazy. I look at these 40 students in Mountain Village, Alaska, and I ask them the question, kids, why do you smoke weed in Mountain Village, Alaska? What did they say? Because it's boring, right? And I look at them and go, you are correct. And I do. I did. Boredom. The reason why kids smoke weed, one of the big reasons, and when we would interview our kids, one of the reasons we would get is because there's nothing else to do. I'm bored. Now, when a child is born with only two things inside it, not like guts and stuff like that, but two things inside it. One is the fear of falling, and the other one is the fear of being left alone. That's it. The fear of falling and the fear of being left alone. Now, when a little baby cries in a playpen, mom or dad or brother or sister come up and they pick them up and they love on that little baby and they hug on them and they talk to them and they pat that little baby and the little baby stops crying. What has happened inside the head, and the baby doesn't know this yet, but connections are made. And those connections are, if I make a little bit of noise or I need some help, somebody's going to be there for me. There's somebody that's going to take care of me. There's somebody watching out over me, and it makes this big connection inside their head. Prior to 1968, when the Stanford experiment happened, they used to do these terrible experiments on kids all the time without them knowing 1957, they did this experiment with orphans. They took 6 orphans at this orphanage, and they told the nurses, these 6 kids right here, you can change them, you can feed them, you can roll them over, but do not talk to them, do not hug them, do not pick them up, do not show them any type of affection, because we want to see what's going to happen. So they went through their prime years not being picked up, not being talked to, not being held, not being comforted. What they found out is these 6 kids, when they got older, they had trouble making connections with other people. If they were sitting in a room like this, there'd be this feeling that somebody's trying to attack them or get them. So they had this really strong paranoid feeling. Out of the 6 kids, 2 of the kids committed suicide. 1 of the kids ended up killing some other people. So it's terrible what happened. So just being picked up and held, spoken to, read to, sang to, all that kind of stuff goes inside the baby's head and it makes these connections. The fear of falling. Who do you think helps a child overcome the fear of falling better? Mom or dad? I'm just going with the traditional family. Mom or dad? Not mom. Dad. What will dad usually do to that kid? Yeah, right? What will dad usually do to that kid that mom won't? Throw that kid up in the air, right? So when dad takes that kid, throws that kid up in the air, what does mom do? No, that's my baby, right? My baby too, right? Catch that baby. So dad will throw that kid up in the air, catch him. Throw up in the air and catch him, right? How many of you remember this situation, if you have any kids or anything? How many of you remember your kid is standing on the edge of the pool, they have all these floaties on, they have every life-saving piece of equipment that you can have on, right? They're standing on the edge of the pool, you're in the water, and you look at the kid and you say, jump, right? What does the kid say? No. Come on, jump, right? The kid's like, no. Jump, 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 right? The kid's like, no, 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 right? I mean, he's got every piece of life-saving equipment on, he's got sunscreen that's that thick on him, you know. And so finally, the kid jumps in the water, goes underneath the water, whoever's there pulls him up. What does the kid immediately say? Again, right? Again. So then this person's like, all right, go inside. And then, again, right? 45 minutes later, the person's like, why did I start this game, right? They're all wrinkly from this point down. So the thing is, what happens when dad takes that little baby and throws that baby or that kid up in the air and then catches that kid, what that little kid says is, again, right? Now the reason they say again is because the brain is testing out this theory. When the very first time, when dad threw that kid up in the air, the brain immediately started doing this. What's going to happen? 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 And the brain is going crazy, not knowing what's going to happen. Dad catches that kid. Inside the brain says, oh, you know what? I'm going to get caught. Somebody's going to catch me. But I don't know if that's true or not. Let's try it again to reinforce that theory, right? So then dad takes that kid, throws that kid up in the air again, and catches him. Takes him, throws him on. Once the brain figures out that he is going to get caught, the kid won't do that again, right? All the guys in the room, when you go home, if you got a 21, 22-year-old kid, try throwing them up in the air. See what they say. Okay? Come here, son, right? Yeah. What were you doing at that conference? Right? Okay. So the thing is, once the brain has figured it out, and it gets that theory, it will stick with that theory, okay? Let me ask you this. Get ready. Dad has that brand new baby, right? Baby's about 7, 8 months old. Mom heads over to the grocery store. Dad takes that baby over to his friend Doug's house. He's like, Doug, look at my new baby, right? Here you go, baby. Watch this. This is really a cool trick. Make sure there's no power lines up there, right? And Dad goes, he's like, look at that, man. Look how high I got that baby, right? Look got a little spiral on that diaper, man. That's cool. Stand back, stand back, stand back. And ka-boom. I know, some of you, that feels terrible, right? There's no baby here, yeah. And that baby hits the ground. What kind of connections get made inside the kid's head? Good or bad? Bad. Does that kid get up and go, again? No. Because of how the way pain affects us, that kid is going to say inside his head, I'm never doing that again, right? So if it has a very bad outcome where the kid gets hurt, the brain will say, no more, I'm not trying that again. But if it's a good outcome, the brain will go, again, let's try that again and see if that really works, right? Every single person in this room has it. We all do. How many of you ate something for the very first time and you got really sick on it and you won't eat that thing again? Let me see some hands, right? No? How many of you tried something, snowboarding, skating, something like that, or riding a horse, and you got hurt the very first time and you won't do it again, right? How many of you tried those birds they have in Seattle and just wrecked and just, okay, maybe that was just me. Okay, so the thing is, right, those scooter things, yeah. So we all have it, we do. There's things we did the very first time and we got hurt and we will not do it again. Boredom. Boredom for a 15, 16-year-old kid is brand new to their brain. Their brain doesn't know what to do with it because this is a brand new emotion for them, right? How many of you had your kids come home this summer, they open up the door, they look at you, and they go, I'm bored, right? And as a parent, you're like, walk the dog, clean your room, do the dishes, run the car, blah, 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 blah. And you rattle off about 68 things, right? And at the end of 68 things, your kid looks at you and goes, oh, that's boring. Let's have that happen, right? Pretty much everybody. Somebody in this room, how many of you, well, let me ask you this, how many of you in this room would love boredom? How many of you would love 1 hour where nobody's bothering you, there's nothing to pay, and there's nothing to think about, and you have nothing? Who would love boredom, right? I've sat in airports, 2 hands, yeah. I have sat in airports for 4.5 hours, and I cannot get bored because my brain has figured out how to solve boredom, okay? Last piece of information right here. Get ready to call out some stuff. Boredom. Other than, and just get ready to shout out crazy stuff. Other than drinking alcohol or smoking weed, what are things a person can do when they are bored? Go. Shopping. What else? Read. Good. What else? Work out.
Hike.
Hike. Oh, I like that one. Take a nap. Right. Keep going. Cake. Right? Walk the dog. Wash the car. Work. Check email. Social media. Watch movies.
Ski.
Yeah. This is all the stuff the brain is trying to figure out, right? Start a little fire. No, don't do that one. So these are all the things that the brain is attempting to figure out when you are bored. That's why boredom feels so painful for kids. Let me give you kind of an outdated concept here, but we'll just work off this one right now. Let's say this one red one right here was dropping your kid off back in 1992, okay? Dropping your kid off at the mall with 20 bucks for 1 hour, okay? What could a kid learn going to the mall for 1 hour with 20 bucks? Yes, $20 doesn't go very far, right? So has that kid just learned a little bit about money management? Yes. Can he learn about time management? If mom says, pick him up here in 1 hour, I'm going to be here in 1 hour? Yes. Okay. Learn how to dress appropriately for the weather. You can learn how to use coupons. You can learn who your friends are. This is all the stuff that the brain is attempting to learn. Here's the problem with weed. If a kid smokes weed just when they are bored, the problem is the brain does not learn a whole bunch of this stuff. What the brain learns, because all these things get taken away, these are what are called opportunities. Okay? What happens is the brain learns when I am bored, what do? Smoke weed. Smoke weed. Just like a kid being thrown up in the air and caught, and they said again, what happens is this is the very beginning of addiction, stuff we're going to talk about in our workshop. Once the brain learns I am bored, and smoking weed takes away boredom, the brain goes, let's try that again. Let's see if that really works. I can't make it at home with mom and dad because my mom's a complete beep, right? Do I try harder with mom or do I smoke weed, right? What? That teacher's putting assignments on me. They're not putting on other kids. They're telling me to do stuff other kids don't have to do. That teacher's always got her eye on me. Does that student try harder for that teacher or do they smoke weed, right? I love this one. What? That dude wants me to show up at work at 7, get a half hour for lunch, and get off at 4? Beep that, right? Does that employee try harder or do they smoke weed? Once the brain figures this out, and it goes again, let's try it again. And marijuana starts to solve all of those little problems. This is where it gets reinforced over and over and over again. If you are working with kids, please understand all of these things. Number one, understand that if you discipline them, and discipline is super important, but you need to reinforce that relationship with them because they're going to feel isolated. The other thing is you have to figure out boredom because this is brand new to them. Their brain wants to default to the easiest things. We'll talk about that in our workshop. The brain wants to default to smoking weed because it solves their problems. The other thing is, please understand, they're going to have trouble remembering stuff. So if you give them, they have to be at class at 9 o'clock. Don't get upset when you have to remind them over and over and over again because of how information is going inside their brain. They're thinking on an emotional level, not on an intellectual level. You guys, stay out there doing the best work that you possibly can. Our kids need it. I love the compassion that's in this room. I love the conversations that I've had so far. And the heartfelt feeling that you have towards kids when it comes to marijuana. If any of you want any of this information, you can go to my website, raylozano.com. Everything you saw me do up here, there's a study behind it. What we do is we take these huge, incredible studies and we figure out how to break it down so a junior high kid can understand it. My note taker, did the notes turn out okay? Good, note takers in the back. If you want those notes from this training, you can give her your email address. There's also going to be a video of this training on there, so if you didn't take notes. You guys are a terrific group. My name is Ray Lozano. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
So our next sessions will begin at 10:15. So I think there's some refreshments out in the foyer area with the vendors. So feel free to start moving around. They're going to start dividing up the rooms. Thanks.